since I made a video last. I think it's probably actually either December or January, and today is May 10th. Not a lot has happened. I got a chance to start back up on my apprenticeship after, you know, hand issues, after having a decibel fly off, and not a lot has happened after that. The wind noise in this thing has gotten worse. That's one thing. And the clutch in this thing went kind of south, which means I have a new clutch and I fitted the 5-speed in this thing. Our Passat, that kind of broke really badly and really expensively, like they do. So that ended up being traded in. Well, not traded in. I parked it, and then we bought a 1997 Volvo V70 T5 Estate. Well, it's a V70, so it's cool. And then we bought a 1997 Volvo V70 Turbo 5-cylinder, top of the line thing. But, you know, with the wind noise in this thing annoying me every day on my way to work and back home from work, I started thinking about maybe I need a new car. Not because I need a new car, just because I need another car to drive so this thing can get fixed. And looking through some old pictures, I found a car my father had about 20 years ago. And I really wanted that thing back. So I tracked down the owner, talked to him. He didn't want to sell it. So I went on to Facebook and contacted an owners club, and there asked about price on a drivable project of that kind. And I found one, well, I found a couple. I found one that really spoke to me because it was the exact same color my dad had. And yesterday, May 9th, I went and picked it up 4.5 hours away from here. We ended up using way over 12 hours on that trip due to climbing mountains, overheating engines, melting turbo, melting the wastegate hose for the turbo on the pull car. We had a couple of issues with heat going over the mountains, but finally, at the end of the day, we got home. I drove the thing into the shop, lifted it up, and there's pretty much nothing wrong with it. So my task for today, and maybe after work tomorrow, if I can't get it finished today, is going through it and make sure it will go through the inspection. Hopefully I will get that on Tuesday, because that car was registered first time ever on May 12th, 1966. Tuesday is May 12th. And I would think it would be really awesome if I could really get that car registered in my name on May 12th. 54 years later. So that's my task for today. I have a new wiper switch in my pocket because that thing is, well, according to the guy I bought it from, the switch is bad. I'm not sure if the switch is bad, it might be the motor, but in that case, I have my dad on finding a motor in our pile of parts. So I'm going to go to work now and do that, make sure everything is fine, grease all the joints, everything I can grease, make sure everything is ship-shape, go over the brakes. I thought this car was supposed to have drum brakes on the front. Apparently it has discs. Might have been fitted from a different car. I don't know. But I'm really happy about it. It has discs. It is an upgrade. At least if it was supposed to have drums. So I'll just get to work. And jump cut, I'm in a different car. It's been a couple of days. I've did a few things to the new car. I've done a couple of things to the new car. I got a new set of front brake hoses today. Swapped those out. I got a rebuild kit for the front ball joints. Yes, you can rebuild them. That's actually kind of awesome. And about this different car that I'm in, this is the shop service car. The reason I'm in the shop service car is because I had a bit of an accident going to work yesterday. Today's Wednesday. The new car has its inspection tomorrow. And yesterday, going to work, of course I have summer tires on now. It's May. It's nothing on the road. It's just asphalt. And surprise, surprise, yesterday, up on the mountain that I have to go over to get to work, or get to anything at all, really, surprise snowfall. If anyone follows my personal Instagram, then, well, you will already have seen what happened, and you already know what new car it is. But, yeah, came into a turn, I felt the Granada starting to slip. I saw a Mitsubishi Outlander hybrid thing come the other way. I tried my best to plant the Granada straight in the ditch. It wouldn't go. It was just too darn slippery. It just kept sliding. And according to the guy coming the other way, he had a bit of a slide going as well. So, I closed my eyes when I realized what was going to happen, because I did not know where he was going to hit, and I did not want to see that steering wheel flying in my face. So I just closed them, and I heard a really loud bang. The car did a bit of a jump, spun around 2.5 times, ended up facing back the other way it came from. Engine shut down, everything was just quiet. The only sound I had was the wind coming through the broken window and the heater fan going. That was the only two sounds I heard. So I put my hand on the door handle, right, to open it. Popped the door open, and then I put my elbow to it and just pushed a bit, and the entire door just fell off the car. So I stepped out of the car thinking it's a little bit low. It's probably punctured the tires. And I look forward to see, well, the front tire completely disintegrated. It's just blown to bits. Knocked the steel rim flat on one point. And then I turned around to see my trunk lid popped open. Of course, they always do, right? My rear fender is bashed in. And it's no wonder it's a bit low, because the entire rear wheel assembly, the wheel, the brake drum, the backing plate, the hub, the bearing, and the axle shaft, because this is an independent rear suspension car. It tore the entire axle shaft straight out of the diff, and all of it was laying good ways back on the road where I came from. Well, in the ditch, actually, where I tried to plant the car. So the wheel went there, but the car didn't. And ended up just having that car pulled to work. Got a friend of mine to come with the trailer and pick it up, pull it home. It is now dangling from the lift I use for everything. It's dislocated the entire rear end. It's ripped it backwards. The mounts have been ripped off the bolts. So it's all the mountings on the driver's side, at least, of the rear suspension is just ripped off. There's a plate with the main bolt going through it, through the bushing up into the chassis. That bolt's bent, and the two bolts up front that holds that plate to the rest of the chassis, the two bolts are right in the right place, but it's just torn the plate off of them. So, it's gonna need a new rear suspension, that's one thing. And a lot of sheet metal, because that thing is not looking good. And a couple of windows. So, I'm really hoping that car goes through the inspection tomorrow. I don't really want to drive this VW Caddy everywhere. So I'm driving the new car. It's finally registered. It was supposed to be yesterday. It wasn't because of brakes. So I ended up working until midnight last night. brakes are good, but the rear, well, the parking brake was a bit soft. Didn't really do much. So I ended up tightening up the cable, tightening up the rod that goes across the axle, and going over brake shoes and drums with 40 grit sandpaper just to get as much traction in it as possible. And it got approved, and now I am on my way home from work. And this car, it's a tiny car. I mean, now I'm touching the window on the other side of the car. It's a small one. It's a MK1 Ford, of course, like the rest of them are, and it is red. But this is a tiny one. It's kind of the size of an Escort, kind of. It's just real small. And what it is a MK1 Cortina. Nice, original, mostly, except the color. It was British. It was supposed to be British racing green, just like the interior is. So that's why I have a green interior with a red car. But, you know, this is kind of the charm of it. It's a tiny little 5-seat family car from the 60s, and it's just cute. Now, this one's had one owner since, well, it has had one owner from 1966 up until 2017. And after that, it's just been sitting. But I'm very surprised at how good this car is. I mean, it's done 111,000 kilometers, which is not a lot. And it's had the brakes redone recently. I mean, the calipers up front are brand new. I had some issues with the parking brake, but you know, it's been sitting for 3 years. It has a gaudy, it has a bit of a gaudy 80s, you know, cassette player. And some auxiliary gauges, you know, the heater is down here. Shifter is a really long one. But it's a really nice, cute car.